Spin around. Spin around. There we go. We got it spun around finally. All right, we are up. We are live. Here we go. We are going live for some Mythbuster Monday. We're going to test some different wire sizes here on the amp dyno. Actually, I got to reset that in a second. Yeah, what's up, everybody? We're going to take a little bit, let some people jump in here. I'm going to start explaining what's going on, what we're doing. So we're going to test some myths today, and we're going to do them live. And we're going to do them on a Sundown Audio Salt 8. I mean, it's not Salt 8, Salt 12. The biggest amp Sundown Audio has ever made, the Salt 12. It uses the big triple inputs, so we have 3 powers, 3 grounds. We're going to run it on the amp dyno, and we're going to test some different wire. We're going to test using 1 input, 2 inputs, 3 inputs. If we need, I can even test running some CCA wire. So I do have some CCA wire, but I only have some in short pieces. So if I do the CCA test, it's got to be short stuff. I can't do it in long runs, but I do have some long pieces of OFC we're going to try and hook up. So I do have to rewire a few things to start. We currently don't have any power and ground. I figured I'd give it a second, let some people get in here watching good. And I figured worst case scenario, I might do this. All right, guys, let me know in the comments how the video looks. So to start, I'm thinking of using some 4-gauge wire. So I keep 4-gauge wired up here on the bench for some of the small amps we test. And I'm thinking the first test, we might as well go really small and wire up some 4-gauge, single input 4-gauge to this Salt 12 and see what happens. And I figure it can only get better from there. Y'all let me know what y'all think of that idea. Put it up in the comments. The video is choppy. All right, I don't know what's going on. I might not have a good signal right now. I'll tell you what, we'll run the first 4-gauge test, and if the video's not working right, I might just have to restart it. But to start out, I say let's go ahead and dive in. We're going to hook up a single run of 4-gauge wire. So this will be a short piece. I'm sure you can see it right back here. Now, I don't want to pull the whole bench apart, but to give y'all a quick breakdown. So underneath the bench down here, we have a bunch of D1400 batteries. You can kind of see them down in, well, you can kind of see them down in there. So we have 4 banks of super caps and a big bank of D1400s. Then there's some 1-aught wire that comes from that bank that comes up here to our connections. And then I split off of those connections depending if I'm going to do a single inputs, dual inputs, or a 4-gauge wire like I'm about to hook up here. So first test, we're going to wire up a single run of 4-gauge. And we'll see what happens. So these will be certified tests on the amp dyno that you can see over there. We're going to do some comparison numbers. So let's start. So coming from our bank underneath the bench, we got some 1/0 wire coming up here to our distro box. And then we have the 4 gauge, which is fairly short. This is probably about 36 to, I'd say between 36 and 42 inches of 4 gauge wire running to our Salt 12 amplifier. Now to get the best voltage readings at the dyno, these are our dyno leads. We'll pull them over and we're going to plug them straight in right here at the 4 gauge wire. So we can see exactly how bad it's going to drop this voltage down. Get them plugged in right there. Hold on, let me redo that one. That was a little loose. There we go. That's good. All right, so all that's up. Let's jump over here. We're going to flip the amp dyno on. I do not have my clamp meter yet. I'm waiting on one of the conductors from Spark Innovations. So my old clamp meter, the batteries died. We've never gotten any batteries, and it didn't have a peak hold feature anyway. So we used to read current in real time. The Spark Innovation has the conductor that's out, and I'm basically just waiting on my chance. They're selling out of them as fast as they can make them. So there's a little back order on them. But as soon as that comes in, I will have a conductor, and we'll get it set up here with a remote meter. Oh, I won't forget the remote. Actually, I wired up something fancy because I was always having to clip and unclip wires. So I'm wiring up a fancy little switch here, and we'll show it real quick. We got a little switch we can flip on, and then we get a blue light. So here we go, test number 1. And this will be a standard amp dyno run, just like normal. Certified run. Mono. And I reckon we'll go straight to 1 ohm. Should we? Oh, you know what? We'll back out. We'll ramp it up. Certified run. We'll build some suspense here. 4 ohm. We'll start with that. So a certified run at 4 ohm. And I'm not going to break the tripod down because I want to be able to move it back and forth. So I'm not going to break it up and down, but I think y'all can still kind of see it right there. And guys, if the video's too glitchy, let me know in the comments. We're going to try to at least go through these 4 gauge runs real quick. And if it is, I might just have to restart the live feed. But let's dive in now. So here we go. This will be a standard amp dyno run with a 40 hertz test. Our amp is on. Everything is set up. Certified run at 4 ohms. Let's see what happens. And we're over. So unfortunately, I kind of forgot about that. But yeah, if you can't see there, I'll lean it in for you. I forgot the Salt 12 is so powerful that it will actually max the amp dyno out at 4 and 2. We've even maxed the amp dyno out in some of the bigger tests, but that tells me, yeah, we're getting plenty of power. So the amp dyno, I think it runs up to like it's right at 5K. It's about I think it's 4,900, but it's right at 5K. So we're making well over 5K at 4 ohms. Let's go ahead and back it up. Let's go to that 2 ohm test. Now the power doubles. So I think it's right at 10K that it takes to max the amp dyno out at 2 ohms. So we'll give it a run here. Well, the 1 ohm test is going to be what really tells the tale. Here we go, the certified 2 ohm test. We should be able to max it out, even on a single run of 4 gauge wire. And, oh, yep, we dropped the voltage down just enough. So that single run of 4 gauge wire, we dropped down to 12.2 volts. And keep in mind, y'all saw me plug it in back there. I'll show you again. We're reading our voltage right here as close as possible to the amp. So that single 4 gauge power and ground, let me lean in for y'all. Dropping to 12.2 volts, we still made certified 9,377 watts at 2 ohm. So I can already tell you that going down the 4 gauge wire is hindering its performance because we would typically go over very, very easily in this scenario. But while we're going, we might as well run it on up. So let's back that out. We're going to reset our head unit there. We'll jump up to 1.3. So here we go. Salt 12, single 4-gauge wire, certified run at 1.3. Let's see what happens. And bam. So certified 1.3 dropping to 11.06 volts. And y'all let me know if y'all can see that down there if I need to zoom in on it. But we're dropping to 11.06 volts, certified at 1.3, 11,637 watts. So even at higher than its lowest rated impedance, so the Salt 12 is rated 12,000 watts at 1 ohm. We're at 1.3, dropping to 11.0 volts, and we still made almost rated power off that single 4-gauge wire. Is it hot? You mean is the amp hot? When we just started, the amp is not hot. It's still cool. And I will grab my little thermal gun here, and we'll hit it for y'all. So yeah, the amp's chilling at 70-ish degrees. I'll hit it down here on the other side. And yeah, down on the other side, we're sitting about 76.5. So it's probably good low 70s in this room right now. We don't have the AC on, and we actually have a really warm day today. So it's probably about 73 in the room. Now that's certified run, single 4-gauge wire. Let's back it on up, reset that head unit, and let's go ahead to that 1 ohm. So Salt 12 off the single 4-gauge power and ground, certified run at 1 ohm. Here we go. It takes about 5 seconds for the dyno to kick in. You'll see there it goes. Oh, yeah, we really dropped the voltage on that one. It actually started spazzing out the dyno. I don't know if y'all saw that. I don't think it read correctly. So I've never dropped the voltage too low on the dyno to know what its low voltage issue is. But I don't know if y'all saw it flicker there. Might have to, when this saves the video, go back and check it out. I'm going to tell you, definitely did not read right. So we're at 10,684 watts. It says we only dropped to 14.0, but I know that is not correct. Now, one other test I want to do off the 4-gauge. I'm not going to drop it any lower. If it's already dropping the voltage so bad and spazzing out the dyno like that, I'm not going to beat on it any lower as far as an impedance. But I do want to go to uncertified run. So certified runs are at low distortion. So you're looking at less than 1% distortion there. Oh, and another thing to pay attention, I'll show you when we get here, but so uncertified is going to take us right with clipping. So it's going to have a little more distortion, but it's going to be more indicative of what your average guy, where they're going to run right on that verge of clipping. But one thing we're going to have to keep an eye on is actually the dyno temperature. So the dyno, it has a bank of resistors in there. And when you start putting big power to that bank of resistors, it will get hot. And you see where our dyno is at 104 degrees right now. I might need to go get a fan and put on it. But our amp, I'll show you. Amp's warming up a little bit. They're on the top of the fins like I measured before. 70s, we're hitting about 80 degrees on the side right there. So not too bad. All right, now we did the certified 2 ohm test. Typically, a Salt 12 will easily max out the dyno, and it'll just read over because the dyno can't read more than about 10K at 2 ohms. So I'm going to go to uncertified with these single 4-gauge wires. And I see we got a few new people in the chat, so I'm going to take a second just to do another glimpse down here. We have a single Salt 12 here on the bench, and we have just a single 4-gauge power and ground input. And we're seeing how big of a difference this is going to make on power. Now, if you want to know what kind of real power the Salt 12 will make, there's amp dyno videos already online, already here on the channel. I have in my own SPL testing seen as much as 27,000 watts from a single Salt 12 amplifier. That is an SPL scenario. I don't recommend trying that at home. I see, hey, Pittman Bay Lawn Care, you say you're going to burn something up. It is likely. There's a chance we're going to burn something up here. I know if y'all seen what the dyno did a second ago, that kind of startles me, and I know we've got to pay attention to that temperature on the dyno. After another couple runs, I'm probably gonna have to go get a fan and put on here to help keep this thing cool. But now going back to what I was saying, certified 2 ohm, I know the dyno maxes out around 10K, and the Salt 12 will easily make more power than that at 2 ohm. So I'm gonna go to the uncertified run. Let's verify our track is reset. So this is our 40 hertz track. For us, it's track 12 on our thumb drive. It's our 40 hertz track, which is a standard track that comes with the SMD amp dyno. I'm trying to make sure y'all can see everything here on the screen. And let's get it. Uncertified, right up to clipping, as you can read right here on the screen. Give it about 5 seconds to kick in. And we'll see what happens. Here we go. And yep, so that's what it took. We dropped to 11.5 volts before it stopped reading there. But uncertified at 2 ohm. Hopefully y'all can see it right in here. We went over. So yeah, even with that single run of 4-gauge wire, power and ground. Yo, what's up, Skip? You missed the beginning of the 4-gauge test. We're just wrapping up the 4-gauge wire test. So here we are, the Salt 12 and single 4-gauge power and ground. We still managed to max the amp dyno out at 4 ohm. We just maxed it out uncertified at 2 ohm. And the certified 1 ohm, it actually spazzed out the amp dyno. I think that the voltage dropped so bad, the amp dyno didn't know what to do and it quit reading properly. So that being said, and I'm trying to keep all this live, so you're gonna have to bear with me while I change out some wire. We'll go ahead and we'll do example of what it can do, with some real 1-aught. So I guess the next best case scenario, I'm gonna throw some of our short runs of 1-aught here on the bench. So to give you all a comparison, I'm gonna have to disconnect the dyno leads. Disconnect the 4-gauge. Let's throw this out the way. Oh, let me see if I can get a reading on that. I'm gonna tell you, I don't know if you'll be able to tell from this reading. Let's see. I don't think it's really showing it. So yeah, I'm getting some there. Our wire is hot. Yeah, pulling that off just now. I measured 80 degrees in some spots. But yeah, we definitely got some extra temperature in that 4-gauge wire. This is one of the spots I didn't think ahead of time to grab a thermal sensor. That would have been cool to test. Throw a thermal sensor on it while we heated up that 4-gauge wire. So here we go. I'll let y'all see the 1-aught wire. So we keep it fairly short. It's probably in the neighborhood of between 3 and 3.5 feet long. This section here is a little shorter one. So it's probably about 36 inches. So we'll go to a single run of it. It's similar in length to the 4-gauge we just used. So you'll see the difference that what we will have just going from a single 4-gauge to a single 1-aught. Now keep in mind, we already maxed out the dyno at 4 ohm, certified 4 ohm, which is going to be one of the lower tests. We maxed that out with a single 4-gauge wire. So that test is going to be almost pointless here with the 1-aught. We know we're going to easily max it out. Yeah, we maxed out the certified 4 ohm test with single runs of 4-gauge wire. We maxed out the uncertified 2 ohm test with single runs of 4-gauge wire. This is a very powerful amp. All right, so here we go. We're running on a single 1-aught. So we should actually be able to get a good certified 1 ohm runoff now without tanking that voltage too crazy. All right, I think our head unit. Yep, head unit is reset. Certified. There's no point doing 4 ohm. Now we dropped pretty low on voltage, and I know we're around 9,000. I should have wrote this down. Who remembers what we did certified 2 ohm with the extra voltage drop? If you remember, post that in the chat. Put it up in the comments. So we're gonna go certified 2 ohm. Should easily, without a doubt, drop we're gonna max the dyno out. It's gonna read over. Yeah, test speaker wire as well. We'll make that a later test. So I'll make sure I show you here. We have 8-gauge wire. The Salt 12 is capable of 4, but we typically just run 8 gauge, and they're fairly short. They're probably in the neighborhood of 42 to 48 inches long for our 8 gauge speaker wire coming out, and we'll make that a later test. Here we go, certified 2 ohm with a single 1/0 wire. We should be able to easily max this dyno out. And there it is. We're over. So we didn't even get the full run off, but we did drop to 13.0 volts. And yep, we read over. So pretty much any test going forward, we know the certified 4 and certified 2 ohm tests are pointless. Now remember, certified at 1.3, we dropped to 11 volts, and we still made almost rated power. We were 11,600 watts and change. Skip, we've actually, I think Jake actually talked to Steve Mead or Tony or somebody. I think Jake talked to somebody about getting a dyno done custom for us that could read higher power. I don't know where that's at in the works, if it just got forgot about or put on a back burner, but we have had that conversation. So let me verify. Everything's reset. Certified at 1.3. Again, last test with the 4-gauge wire, we dropped to 11 volts, and we read 11,600 and change on the power, on the watts. Let's see what happens this time. Here we go. So yeah, so voltage didn't drop as much. We held 12.2 volts, certified at 1.3, 13,689 watts. So 2,000 more watts just from switching from that single 4-gauge power and ground to a single 1/0 power and ground. We gained 2,000 more watts. And to put that kind of put that kind of into a bigger perspective, from 11,000 to 13,000, that 2,000 watts. I mean, you're talking about, a good near a 20% increase in power, but probably about 18ish% or so if somebody wants to calculate that actual math. But that's a pretty good increase in power just for upgrading your wire. Now, let's go ahead and reset it, back it up, and let's go to that certified 1 ohm test. And I might have to grab a fan. So I'm make sure you guys know the dyno is the temp we're going to have to keep our eye on. We're up to 114 degrees on it now. I'll go ahead and show you on the amp. So we were about 80 degrees before on the side fins. We're maxing around 83-ish right now. 83.5 is the peak I'm seeing right there on those side fins. So we've only went up 3 degrees. Will that amp go into low voltage protection? Yes, it will. Low voltage protection typically doesn't kick in until you get in the 9-volt range. I believe it's 9.5 exactly on these, but it's going to be the 9-volt range. That's going to be tough to do. We didn't drop it in protection with the single 4-gauge wire, so we're not going to do it on any other test. But let me take a break for a second. I'm going to go get a fan to pop on this amp dyno because I want to try and help keep it cool. If not, once it gets too hot, we have to shut the test down. I'll be right back. Give me a minute. All right, guys, I'm back. So it'll only take me a second. Let me get a fan set back up here. I'll back the camera up so you can see what I'm doing. So the amp dyno has its own built-in fan, but I like to set up a little extra fan, help blow some fresh air in there. And I'm a DeWalt fanboy, so I like their little battery-powered portable fans. We're going to hook one of these up. I'm going to set it here. We're going to try and get that circulating through there. So I apologize, we have a little bit of fan noise now, but if we don't, that amp dyno temp is going to creep up. It's going to get kind of dangerous. I've had that amp dyno screaming hot before, and I don't think it likes it. So here we go. We're on the certified 1 ohm test. Remember, it dropped voltage so low it actually spazzed out, and the dyno didn't even read because we saw it just completely glitch out. It was like the screen started to go off. So we went from the single 4-gauge to single 1/0. Let me verify again. Yep. Track is reset. And here we go. Give it about 5 seconds to kick in, and bam. And there we go. So yeah, we got a good run. Screen didn't spaz out. Everything looking pretty good. Hopefully y'all can see that power there. Certified at 1 ohm, so this is less than 1% on the distortion. We dropped 11.6 volts and got 14,846 watts. So that's pretty good power. Keep in mind, we're still only running a single short 1-aught wire. But biggest question we had was, will it gain? Well, yeah, when it comes to running dual inputs, I run dual inputs myself. I set up Project SPL with all dual inputs just in case. Because when you're an SPL guy, if it makes a 0.1, it's worth it. So let me flip this amp off real quick. We're going to add some more wire here. So I'm going to back you up so you can see what I'm doing. And you can watch everything here live. So we're going to go from just one single 1-aught wire. We're going to add some more. These are all going to be fairly short. As all these wires are roughly between 36 and 42 inches long. So that's between 3 and 3.5 feet. So let's plug in one more ground. And one more power. All still tight. So now I'm going to do those runs over again with 2 runs of short runs. So I'll back up here so you can see the wire I got coming out of my distro blocks there. So we're up to 100. We got 130 guys watching now. Guys, if you would, go ahead and click that thumbs up button. Give us a like. Let us know you appreciate what we're doing. And I'll give you a quick rundown before we jump back on the dyno here of what we got going on. So behind this board, below the bench, we have a big bank of Excess Power D1400s. We also have 4 Excess Power banks of super caps. There's 1-aught wire runs from that bank in there up here to our distro box that you can see up there. And then I split off 1-aught, 4 gauge, sometimes 8 gauge if I need. I split it off from there to do our testing here on the bench. Sometimes I'll run dual inputs. Right now we're just testing different wire. So we ran through the 4 gauge test. We ran through a single 1-aught test. Let's now go to a dual test. You know what? Hold up. We got to back up. We got to back up. I apologize, guys. We got to back up. Before we do that, we only did the certified runs. We got to do the uncertified runs. So hold on. Bear with me. I apologize. Let's unhook those again real quick. Bear with me. We're doing this live and off the cuff. So here we go, certified at 1, dropping to 11.6 volts. And somebody needs to keep track of this because I'm not. We're going to go ahead and back up. Let me back out of here. And we're going to go and jump to uncertified. We're going to really lag it down. So uncertified is going to take it right up to clipping. We did 14,800 watts certified. Here's going to be that uncertified at 1 ohm, taking it right up to clipping. Let's see how much extra we get, how much we're going to drag the voltage down. Damn it. Joey, you can get on to me now. Forgot to turn the amp back on. So here we go. Blue light. Track is reset. Amp is on. And there it is. So dropping to 11.6 volts, uncertified at 1 ohm, 15,298 watts. And I tell you what, we're going to do it. We're going to beat on it. We're going to go down to 0.8. I won't be doing a half or 0.6 runs, guys. Those things are really, really tough on amps. These are resistive loads. There's no reactance here. So they are really tough on amps. They're going to be really tough on the dyno. You see, we're already up to 111 degrees. But here we're going to go. This is going to be one of the toughest tests we do. Single runs of 1-aught, uncertified at 0.8. We're already dropping into the 11 volt range. Yep, you see it started flickering, spazzing out there. 11.2 before it started spazzing out, 15,315 watts. So I think, my opinion, seeing what's going on, we're starting to drop voltages enough. We're not gonna squeeze much extra power out of here. We're just trying to pull some more current for no reason. So that being said, we can jump back in. Our wire's on hand right here. Hook them back up real quick. So now we're up to 2 runs. I didn't cut the amp off this time. I just left it on. I'm going to try and leave it on unless I really have to. So the amp is on. We got our blue light. We're going to reset our track. Trying to make sure y'all can see everything good without me having to really get the camera down there. So that's been our most power so far. Uncertified at 0.8, 15,315 watts. Now we know on the certified runs, we maxed it out 4 ohm, 2 ohm. But we'll go back to that certified 1.3. Who remembers what it did before? Certified 1.3. Post it up in the chat. Let us see in the comments. We're going to run it again. Yep, there we go. So we're definitely getting more power because we just maxed the dyno out certified at 1.3, and it didn't do that before. So before it quit reading, we dropped to 13.0, but usually when it goes over, I think it actually kind of freezes up and it'll stop reading. So as it ramped up more, because the resistors will keep ramping up, it will pull some more power out the amp. We just won't get to see it here on the screen. So we know adding that second run has definitely gave it more power. Let's back out of that. Go and jump up to that certified 1 ohm run. Make sure all my tracks are reset. Here we go. Certified 1 ohm. And bam. So yeah, I'd say that's a pretty good jump in power right there. 17,082 watts, still dropping to 12.7 volts. Yeah, if I remember right, I think it was right around 14,800 is what we got certified at 1 ohm before. And then uncertified, it jumped up to a little over 15K, about 15.2. So yeah, if we were at 14,800 watts and we're now over 17,000 watts by adding that second run of 1-aught wire. And these are short runs of wire. So you might, I'll say guys, short runs of wire between about 3.5 foot long. You can still pull some pretty good current out of them, but still adding that second wire, we saw a massive jump in power. So I think we're definitely proving our theory, my theory here, what I think the internet's theory would be, that running proper electrical is worth it. I'll be honest with you, I would rather see somebody run more electrical than a bigger amp. So, all right, certified. Let's reset our track. And we're going to jump out of this. We did the uncertified runs. And I know uncertified, I want to say we were around 15,200 watts in that uncertified at 1 ohm. So this is going to take us right up to that point of clipping. And for everybody new jumping in, I see we got 135 guys in here watching. Guys, if you would, just go ahead and show us some love. Click that thumbs up button. Let us know you appreciate the different testing we do here, keeping y'all entertained. We're going to do this uncertified test. So if I remember right, it was 15,200 watts before and change. What are we going to get now? Oh, so we did get a little glitch on the screen. We dropped to 12.0 before it started spazzing, but we're at 18,330 watts. So definitely a pretty good jump in power. About 3,000 extra watts there. Now I can hear our fan kicking in back there. I'll let y'all hear. So I'll cut my extra fan here off, let y'all hear. That's the dyno's fan kicking in. We're up to 121 degrees and climbing. We're doing some pretty big run here. 18K on the dyno is a lot of power. So we might end up having to cut this run short a little bit. But we'll try and speed through it here. Our track is reset. Now we know, you know what? I'm not even going to bother doing the uncertified at 0.8 because it was dragging things down. We saw the dyno start to spaz out on that one, start to glitch out. Temp on the dyno right now is 122. Temp on the side of the amp, so we're sitting maxing out at 89.5 degrees on the top. So I'll show you all that right there. So we went up a few degrees, nothing crazy. Let's just go ahead and jump onto it. At the level we're seeing now, I don't think there's any point in running the long wire. I did go get, I'll give you a glimpse over here. I did go get a cart full of wire. I was gonna do some long runs of wire to see if they made some kind of bigger impact, but we're already seeing a pretty massive impact, even here with these short little 3.5 foot runs. Oh, let's go ahead and hook up that third input. That's what we're hoping. So we have all 3 inputs hooked up now on the bench. I mean on the amp. This should really tell y'all how important proper electrical is. I'm a believer to build a good base from the start. By that I mean have your electrical right, your sound deadener right, your enclosure right, before you try and push anything else. All right, so if we go back to our certified runs, we know we maxed out the certified 1.3. Verifying our track is reset. So let's jump on in to the certified 1 ohm run. Y'all want to take any guesses what you think it's going to do now? Are we going to see a pretty big jump again? Adding that third run of wire? Y'all let me know what y'all think. And remember, guys, go ahead and give us that thumbs up. Show us a little bit of love. Give us that thumbs up. Let us know you appreciate what we do here on the channel. But here we go. Certified 1 ohm run. Give it about 5 seconds to kick in. And here we go. Oh, yep. We started pulling some juice down. So 18,566 watts dropping to 12.7 volts. That's still some massive power in the 12 volt range. But keep in mind, the Salt 12 is only rated 12,000 watts at 12 volt. We're down there in that 12 volt range, still seeing over 18,000 watts from it. So jump back. Now I know before we had a pretty good jump. I think it was from certified to uncertified. What do we think is going to happen this time? Let's go ahead to uncertified. Get everything set up. Yep. Uncertified run. 1 ohm. What's going to happen here? We got it running. And we have maxed out the dyno at 1 ohm. So I believe it takes over 20K, I think, to max out the amp dyno at 1 ohm. And pretty sure we were around 18K before, so that's definitely just more proof, more nails in the coffin. Adding that third run of power wire has now put us over 20,000 watts uncertified at 1 ohm. All right, I see someone asking what power wires are being used. So basically we started off, I'll do a real fast run through from this angle. We'll move the camera down. We started this test, we're doing a Salt 12 amp dyno. And we used, I'll pull it out here, a single run of 4 gauge power and ground wire. And we ran it through the amp dyno to see what kind of power we get on that single run of 4 gauge. Then we switched to a single run of 1/aught wire. And we did the test again. Then we did 2 runs, and now we're on all triple inputs. 3 runs of power, 3 runs of ground, and we're seeing what kind of power difference it has made. And as we have showed here live testing at Sundown Audio, it has made massive differences in power. That we jumped from a little over 18,000 watts or so. I don't remember the exact number, but we've now jumped to, actually over. We've maxed the amp dyno out uncertified at 1 ohm, which typically takes, I think it's over 20K to get to that point. Now, to fill y'all in on how the amp dyno works, there's different numbers depending on the resistance, the resistive load you're at. So it takes about 5K. It'll measure up to about 5K at 4 ohm, 10K at 2, 20K at 1, and then you can measure more power at lower resistances. So we are going to drop it below 1 ohm. This is a resistive load, so this is a very, very hard load on an amplifier. 0.8 resistive. In a real world scenario, this would be equivalent to wiring down about 1/4 ohm and having a reactive load rising about 3 times. So here we go. We're going to see uncertified at 0.8 with the triple inputs. Now I know we had we drugged some voltage down before to enough to make the amp dyno spaz out. Let me verify that our track is reset. Yep, we're on our 40 hertz track. We're going to run it. What do you think it's going to do? Make your guesses now. Here we go. And there it is. So we just did dip into the 11 volt range, 11.96 volts. So barely dipping in the 11s, uncertified at 0.8. We're over 20,000 watts. 20,420 watts there on the amp dyno. So I'm fairly impressed. Guys, y'all should be fairly impressed. Keep in mind, Assault 12. It's a big, bad, expensive amplifier. We rate it 12,000 watts at 12 volt certified. We have shown that it blows away every rating, every test. But the biggest thing here is just showing you that we drug the voltage down so much on the dyno. I don't feel we got a good reading. We stopped reading, but it was around 18,000 watts. We're now over 20,000 watts, even dropping to 11 volts. Yeah, we don't have our current clamp yet. My old current clamp didn't have peak hold and the batteries died. We haven't bothered trying to replace it because we have a from Spartan Innovations. If you're not aware, they have a new product called the Conductor. It does all the current stuff. It has remote display and all that. We have them on order. There's on back order right now. As soon as it comes in, I will have one here on the bench. But I believe that's it, guys. Hopefully that answers all your questions. We'll back this up. I'll jump in the screen for this last shot, guys. We got our amp dynos up over 120 degrees, so we're gonna let it cool off. I'm gonna go and flip everything off. Guys, if you will, there's 2 ways you can help us out. It's sharing videos, clicking that thumbs up, letting us know you like the videos, even just showing us some comments. Any interaction helps YouTube algorithm know that people like what we're doing, and it helps spread it around, let people see it. Other way you can help us out, visit sundownunofficial.com. That's our merch website. So I don't like to ask for anybody to donate here on the channel. I don't run a Patreon. If y'all think I should run a Patreon, y'all let me know in those comments. Maybe I will, but I don't like anybody giving me money. So I don't like asking for super chats, things like that. But I will say, if you want to help support the channel, sundownofficial.com. We got hats, we got decals, including the very popular new Sundown Hub, only Sundown audio, that new America Sundown. We have new stuff in the works right now. I have several new runs of tees in the works right now. We're planning on doing a massive new merch display at Slamology this year. So Slamology will have a big setup. We just got back from Triple Fest. Coming up in 2 weeks, we'll be at Made of Steel down in Florida, as well as Knowledge Fest. So the Sundown team is splitting up. We're doing Knowledge Fest Orlando in 2 weeks and Made of Steel down there in Dover, Florida. But yeah, if you want to support us, thumbs up, like, share, comment. Buy merch if you like our merch. A lot of new stuff coming. Come see us at the shows, Knowledge Fest, Made of Steel, Slamology. But that's it, guys. Hopefully this showed y'all something cool. We'll see you next time.